the point is, do what makes you happy. And if you can do that and not live for what other people think should make them happy or what other people think should make you happy, that doesn't matter, because all that matters at the end of the day is what makes you happy. And if you can do what makes you happy, you will have your perfect day every day. All right, my friends, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of The Morning Takeaway. I want to jump right into it today. Sorry about my nasally weirdness. I think it's from getting in the ocean early in the mornings, but that's all right. We're going to grind through it. I just got done with a run, so if you're looking at me on YouTube, I'm all sweaty and weird and gross, and that's okay, because part of what we're talking about today is comparison, and who cares? So with that being said, let's read the quote on the board today. It is, "Don't compare yourself to others. There's no comparison between the sun and the moon. They shine when it's their time." So where does this come from? Today I was on my run, and I was just thinking to myself, like, this is way too easy. And not an easy in a sense of, like, hey, I'm like on top of the world, in the sense of like, oh, I'm better than everybody else at running. But for me, it was super slow. And I want to talk today about comparison, the perfect day, and setting an intention for the day. So recently, something that I've started to implement is setting an intention for the day. Now, usually I have like a takeaway or something that I resort back to, like in my mindfulness and my meditation, but recently I've been physically writing it down. Early in the morning, I'll go on my walk, I will listen to my podcast, read my book, and something will come to me naturally, and I'll write that down, and it has single-handedly been a tool right now that is, like, I literally feel like it's changing my life. I am able to, in these days, come back to those intentions and remind myself, like, hey, what was your intention for the day? Or not even ask myself that, but remember, because I physically wrote it down and saw it in front of me, and I'm able to kind of channel that. So, for example, today my intention was to slow things down. If you saw my Instagram story, well, you're probably watching this at a different time, but today my Instagram story was about slowing things down. And when you slow things down, things around us they start to become a little faster. Things start to happen a little quicker. And not in the sense of things passing you by, but in the sense of your productivity starts to go up. You start to be more present in what's in front of you. You start to be able to channel these things and notice and be aware of what's around you because you slow down. So going back to my run today, I was thinking, slow yourself down, slow yourself down, slow yourself down. Now, when you're running, you don't really want to slow down. Typically, you're trying to beat a time, or you're in a race maybe. Whatever. When we think of time, or when we think of running, we think of time. Well, I'll say that was the easiest run I've ever went on, like I said, and I think it's genuinely because I was just slowing down my thoughts. Running is a mental thing. I always tell myself at the beginning of it, I don't know why I do it until I get done with it. And when you are done, you kind of get that runner's high and like, wow, all these thoughts and emotions come over you. Hence the reason why I'm doing this takeaway right now after a run, because that's when my takeaways come to me, is when I'm like super in the moment after these crazy endorphin rushes. Anyways, I'm going down a rabbit hole. So where does the comparison and the perfect day and all of this come into play with what we were just talking about in the sense of slowing things down? So I was thinking to myself today, what makes the perfect day? And that's a question that a lot of people would answer, and the first thing you probably think of is, and I know when I think of it, is sitting on the beach, watching the waves crash with a lava flow in my hand, no worries in the world, life is good. And I have nothing against that, but to me, that's not my perfect day. And that's not to say, hey, that's like Nick should have his way or his perfect day. That's where the comparison comes in. And to not compare your perfect day to somebody else's. We see social media is a prime example of it. And we see people living these crazy lives and something that they probably rented. There's literally businesses now you can rent a private jet to take pictures and it never leave the ground. And it makes these people look like they're crazy, whatever. That's a whole nother podcast. But the point being is comparison to the perfect day. So for me, it's not sitting on the beach. For me, it was today, waking up, going on a walk, listening to my podcast, and going to work out. And honestly, I woke up a little later today, and I felt great. I'm actually in the middle of this fast. I'm not sure if the video of the 14-day fast will come out before this or after this, but either way, I felt incredible today through that workout, through my daily tasks and working. And I get it, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal in the sense of like, oh, Nick has a life that I sometimes get comments on Instagram like, oh, all you do is work out, like get a real job. And there's a whole nother podcast that I probably will do, like what a normal day looks like, but I work about 17 hours a day, and that's not I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me because I love to do it. And to me, that's my perfect day. It is being productive. It is holding myself accountable, seeing how much I can grow, and seeing how much I can push myself in order to grow, right? So you come back to this idea of the quote unquote perfect day, and we think of being on the beach and having the lava flow. And don't get me wrong, I look forward to that when I'm in Hawaii in a month. But even on those days, I'll probably still go on my walk, figure out some way to grow, yada, yada, yada. And the point is not to, point fingers at who has the best life or whatever, this and that. But I think that's the reason for this podcast. A couple episodes ago, I talked about being yourself and be you. You are unique to you. Well, your perfect day doesn't have to revolve around what somebody else thinks is perfect. You get to wake up every day and have the choice to say, hey, I'm going to have an awesome day today. I'm going to love every second of it. Even if you hate your job, you can convince yourself in some positive form. If you lie to yourself out loud, like maybe there might be some conversation around that and opposing opinions, but you're still putting that good energy into your brain out loud and starting to try and at least believe it, right? Well, even if it's not on the weekday, what about the weekend? What is a perfect day on the weekend? Maybe it's, going out with your friends, whatever it is. But trying to replicate little things each day throughout your life that make up to that perfect day. And if you can kind of get, implement one or two of those things every day, even on the weekdays. And I'm going to do a podcast one day about not wishing your life away in the sense of working 5 days a week and now you're living for the weekend and Mondays are the worst days ever. But that's a different topic, but it still can come back to this comparison idea and the life of others. And I'll be the first one to tell you that life it's complex, and in the sense that it's so complex that it can be so simple. And if you simplify it down to who you are as a person, because you are your own unique self, there is only one of you, unless you're some kind of crazy twin. You have the ability to create the life that you want. And I understand there's different circumstances that people are in and everything, but there's also that power of choice. And I think I might be a little bit redundant right here, but it's all right. It's important to me and I'm feeling it today. But I just want you to take away something in the sense that I don't want you to look at people on Instagram or social media or people around you and the materialistic things they have. Because, for example, like today, I keep resorting it back to my day today. Today, I legitimately felt like I had the most perfect day ever. And it's not over yet. I'm going to go shower, and it's kind of gross. I'm doing this podcast, not showered. But I'm going to go shower. I'm going to make my dinner. I'm going to probably listen to more podcasts and learn some more stuff. But that's how I like my days to go. And the point is, do what makes you happy. And if you can do that and not live for what other people think should make them happy or what other people think should make you happy, that doesn't matter, because all that matters at the end of the day is what makes you happy. And if you can do what makes you happy, you will have your perfect day every day. And I want to leave you with that. Before we get to the ending, I'm going to do my random question generator. Let's generate a random question. If I can click on it. What do you think is the most complex aspect about yourself? That's kind of crazy. It feels like it was kind of listening to me. The most complex aspect about myself. Wow. The first thing that comes to mind is I would explain myself as just a weirdo. And there's so many different branches to that, whether it's dancing and being a goofball or the 13 different natural supplements that I take in the morning or the insane amount of podcasts that I listen to trying to learn something every day. I don't know. I'm a weirdo, and that's okay because I accept it and I love it. And if I'm the moon or the sun, I shine when it's my time to shine. Trying to circle that in a little bit, but anyways, if you haven't already, and if you've taken something away from this, please share the show. If you think that you've taken something away, said something that maybe lit something up inside of you, and you think somebody else might need to hear this, please, if you don't mind sharing it with them, it helps me out. Don't forget to like it, comment on it, and subscribe. That helps me more than you know. Really trying to get this YouTube thing going and eventually be able to take these podcasts onto Spotify and Apple and all the other branches. So that being said, I hope you have an awesome freaking day, and don't forget to smile.